Okay, what is your name and what is your birthday?
Do you want the full name?
Mm-hmm.
Wilma Bell Means.
And what is your birthday?
10/23/28
And where were you born?
in Lickley County, Lynchburg, Missouri.
Okay, in what place? And was it a house?
House.
Whose
Yeah.
house was it?
I think it belonged to my grandpa, Sumner.
Mm-hmm. Did you all live there?
Yep, we lived there.
Did you live with him?
No,
But it was a house he owned.
yeah,
And how long did you live there? Till what age?
I have no idea.
So you moved when you were little?
Yeah,
Probably?
yeah, and I don't know where we moved to unless we moved down there in that hall.
Mm-hmm. Is that the next place is that the first place you remember living?
Yes,
And then, so,
but it was way out in the woods. And we'd go there and see Grandma after we moved away. And Mom said that Daddy would go off and be working for different people. And she was so scared and said the wind would blow the big old trees and it just roared and just scared her to death. And just her and me and Cleo.
mm-hmm.
And I was a baby.
It would be scary to live out in the woods by yourself. You don't have a phone or anything.
No. And
Nothing.
she said Daddy would say, well, just call me if you need me. She said she had no way of calling. Lynchburg was probably 3 miles away.
Yeah. But they had phones in Lynchburg that you could use?
I guess they did. I
Yeah.
don't know. But, and then she had carried water from a spring that was quite a ways from the house.
When you say Lynchburg, what direction from the store was it? Was it toward Plato or?
No, it
was the other way.
back the other
The other
way, way out in the woods.
So,
I was going to drive down there a year or so ago
uh-huh.
and see if I could find that place. But then that place, the house where I turned in to go down there, I was talking to them, they said, well, you got to go down there, you can't even tell that separate house there.
Huh.
So I didn't go any farther.
Well, I bet it has grown up if it's down the woods.
Yeah, yeah.
So you moved down to the holler, as far as you know, and so how many sisters and brothers do you have?
See, there was 2. Yeah, I was trying to think, I don't know how this was. There's 2 kids in between me and Cleo.
They died as babies.
Yeah,
So Cleo was born and then you.
no, there's
No.
2 between us.
Right, but what's the year
Yeah,
span?
the
How many years?
living.
How many years between?
5,
5 years between you and Cleo.
yeah,
And there was 2 kids born in between them.
right. A
And they
girl
both
and a
died.
boy.
She gave birth to them and they died?
Yeah,
They were alive when they were born?
I have no
You don't
idea.
know.
Probably not.
Yeah. And then, who came after you?
Margie,
And then,
Buster,
and
and Paris, and Phil, and James.
was there any other babies that died or were still born after that? Those 2?
Don't think so.
Okay. What is some of your earliest memories, as far as the youngest that you can remember anything?
I don't know that.
Do you remember like going to school the very first time?
Well, I remember being in the 1st grade.
Okay. Well, that's pretty far back. Were you 6 when you started to school?
Yeah, I guess so. And then I sat with Cleo because I was so shy. And Dante was teacher. Him and Cleo was the same age.
Oh my gosh.
He was 18. He was teaching school.
Yeah.
And he'd have all the class, like first grade, go up and sit on the bench and take turns reading. Well, I was too shy. I wouldn't go up there. So he'd come back and sit in a seat with me and let me read. And he, I guess, got tired of that, so he's going to make me go to class. And he come and got a hold of me and was pulling on me. And I was hanging on to the seats. And I was screaming, Mommy, Daddy, just loud as I could. But he got me up there, and after that I went on up there. I was just too scared. And then, I don't know whether it's first or second grade, the McCoys lived on down past Daddy's place where he turned to go down there. They lived down there and they had a boy the same age I was. They had to walk to school too, and it's at least a mile on down there.
Past you all.
Yes. And it's a girl and a boy. Well, he was my age. So I guess it was my second year. I sat with him. Me and him sat together. And one day I missed school, and he had brought some new crayons to school, and he broke them in half and gave me half of them. And I just wonder sometimes if he's still living.
Did you have your own crayons? Did you ever have your own?
I don't think so.
So that's pretty special that he even had any crayons.
Yeah. And he divided with me.
That was a big sharing thing, dude.
Yeah.
You crayons.
Who would have thought of it?
So, what did you usually wear to school?
Well, we never did have long pants. We had, in the winter time, we had long stockings.
But you always wore dresses, but you wore long stockings in the winter.
Yeah.
Did you have coats, I guess?
Yeah, we had some kind of a coat. I don't even remember any kind of coat we had. But with that, I don't even remember having gloves. Or like overshoes. Seemed like there sometime or other we had galoshes. They called them galoshes. You just slipped them on over your shoes. I remember having them sometime.
What games did you like to play at school?
Well,
did you play dare base or baseball or?
in the summertime we would play hide and go seek.
When it was warm there.
Yeah. Hide and go seek, and where you throw the ball.
Dodgeball?
Yeah, dodgeball.
Like you would be in a circle and people
and
would throw
somebody
it?
throw a ball trying to hit you. And we played baseball too. So.
And there where the school was at, was it just clear all around it, no bushes or anything like that, and you just had a playground there?
Outside toilets, and then they had a pump, or a well, where you dropped the water. But the rest of it was just open field.
And did you have electricity in the school?
No.
You just had the windows.
Yeah.
And then when it was cold, you had a wood stove?
Yeah. I remember Eunice Minks walking to school when the snow on the ground. She was barefooted. And her feet mates, well, I guess all of them, but I just remember her was just blue. And she'd stand around that stove.
And whose kid was that?
Simon's. That was Frank and
Oh, that's the one that was really
Rose
poor.
Lee and them. That was her sister.
Oh, those kids suffered so much.
And one winter, all they had to eat was turnips. Can you imagine feeding your kid turnips every day,
Every meal.
every meal?
And didn't he go around himself and bum food off people for himself?
Mom used to get so mad, he'd try to get to some neighbors about supper time, and so he could eat supper. Mom would get so mad. It's a wonder she hadn't run him off. Because she knew those kids didn't have anything to eat.
Now, you was telling me that Grandma and some people took some food to someone's home. Was that them?
Yeah, it was when she just had a baby, and Mom and my cousin, they lived up on the hill.
And what was the cousin's name?
Floyd Cottle, and Opal was his wife. And
Now, is
Mom,
Floyd the one that they said they knew by Springfield? Was that Floyd?
no.
And a different one, okay.
Anyway, they baked pies and stuff, and them and us kids carried them up that little valley, went up at that little barn there,
Mhm.
up
Yes.
the way up that valley. Carried them up there. And she's still in bed with that baby. But she wouldn't let them kids eat anything till he got home. Wouldn't let them eat. She's worse off than Goldie. Either one of them didn't have very bright sense.
Mhm.
But she's worse than Goldie.
Or maybe she was scared of him or something. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. Or didn't have any choice,
Mhm.
you know.
So, when you all sit down to dinner, you all sat at one table. When you was kids, you all sat at one table?
We always had to sit down to eat.
And you had enough chairs, or did you have
Yes,
benches?
we had a bench behind the table,
Mhm.
and then the rest of us had chairs.
And what kind of dishes did you use?
I have no idea.
Were they metal or glass?
No, they'd been
They
just
glass?
a regular glass.
Mhm. And when dinner was over, who washed the dishes?
Me and Margie, we didn't leave the kitchen till them dishes was
And it was
washed.
always you and Margie that did that?
Me and Margie,
And how did you wash them?
just in a pan of water on the stove, and one washed and one dried.
And so you washed them and then you had a rinse bucket or something?
Yeah, I guess we did.
Yeah, you had to have done something like that.
And before we went to school that morning, them dishes had to be washed.
How come it was always you and Margie? That was just your choice?
Just the right size.
Yeah.
I guess,
Yeah.
just the right size.
And so what was Cleo doing at that time?
I have no idea.
Was she working away or anything like that?
Not all the
Not all
time,
the time.
because that was just when it was
It was
little.
really little.
I know I had to stand up on a little stool, keep them reached top of the stove
Mhm.
to wash them.
And so what time did you go to bed? I mean, did you go to bed when it got dark?
Before it got dark.
You always went to bed before it got dark?
Yeah,
Even in the winter?
yeah.
Because there was no light?
No. And there wasn't anything to do.
Yeah.
You just went to bed.
Mhm.
And when we moved up on the hill, when we first moved up there, Daddy rented that little house down in the holler. And I think it was the Wade, but I can't remember him and her name. But I went down there one time and she was washing dishes. So I dried them for her. And oh, I thought I was so big, drying them dishes.
And helping her.
That was really important.
So, so who were your friends when you went to school?
Clarabelle Prock and Juanita Todd.
Were they right at your same age?
Yes. And Pansy, I guess she said I was her best friend.
Now, was that through grade school?
Nadine.
Those were all through grade
But
school.
Nadine fought me every time that she was just like an old rooster, like these old fighting roosters.
Yeah.
Every time I go outside, she'd jump on me and fight me.
I never thought of her as a fighter.
And I never did know why she would fight me. I think she was jealous of me. And she's like a little bit older than me. Juanita was older.
So who would win when you would fight? Or did y'all just punch each other a few times? And
Oh, I never hit her.
Oh, you never hit
No.
her? How did you fight?
I just leave. When she'd start fighting me, I just leave.
No, when she was fighting you, she was just like slapping on you or something?
Yeah, and hitting me in the back.
So you just ran away from her?
Yeah,
And she
got
couldn't
in the
catch it?
schoolhouse. And one time I remember I was out there and she started hitting me. And I ran the schoolhouse and told Cleo. And Cleo went out there and jumped on her. I don't know what she did to her because I never went out there. But she said, Tio, I tell Tutti on you. She couldn't help playing. Tio, I tell Tutti on you. We laughed and said that for a
And
month.
who was that? Who was that?
Cleo thought I tell school teacher on
Oh, a
you.
school teacher.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out what she was saying.
Yeah.
But she taught playing when she's an adult, didn't she?
No,
Not well.
very funny. But she could, I don't know why she couldn't help playing. So we all had to walk the same way till they would cut across that field where the ponds at.
Who would cut across the Means?
Nadine and Pansy and them.
The
They
Mings family.
crawl under the fence and walk across there. So she's down one time crawling under that fence. And I thought, boy, this is my chance. I took my dinner bucket and I hit her as hard as I could
Where did you hit her at?
in the back. While she's down crawling under that fence. And you should have seen the look on her face. But she never tried to fight me back. She just went on. But she knew what it was for. Because she'd been fighting me.
That is just so odd because I never thought of her as even an assertive person.
Yeah.
She just always looked like a lazy slob.
But you know,
kind of person.
after we got up higher in school, she spent lots of nights with me. I'd never go there and spend the
But she
night.
became more of a friend that didn't. She
Yeah.
didn't fight you.
Yeah, she stayed, and it seemed like every time she'd come to our house, she'd get the toothache. And Mom make these salt pads to put on her face.
And so it was like a poultice almost
Poultice, yeah.
with just
With
salt,
salt.
or
Yeah.
was it salt
You
and egg?
heat it. You heat it and get it real hot.
So you put water and salt.
No, just salt. Just salt.
Oh, just salt, and you heat the salt
Yeah,
inside the fabric and then put it on there.
yeah, yeah. A salt poultice.
Or salt pack or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
But she would get that toothache every time she come. And she probably had it at home too.
Yeah. So what was your typical day when you went to school? You would get up in the morning and do what?
Oh, we'd always eat breakfast.
And what did you have for breakfast?
Well, Mom, she'd always fix a big breakfast for Daddy.
Mm-hmm.
But we usually had blackberries and biscuits.
Mm-hmm. It's just so good.
Just couldn't wait to get up and eat them.
I was the same way. I loved them.
Yeah, and Mom would can 100-gallon blackberries.
You had to have canned more than that because I ate them every morning.
And they lot of berries in it. She would cook, can mostly juice.
Okay, ours had berries in it.
Yeah, yeah. Seemed like you had to put some berries in it to keep the color in it.
I think you're right. I think we kind of drained the juice out of the jar, but we
Yeah.
got some of the berries in it.
But you know, can you imagine having kids eat that for their breakfast now? They probably wouldn't even eat it
Oh, I think they would like it.
if they'd ever tasted.
I used to fix cinnamon toast for Patty Ann and Chrissy all the
I
time,
used to view kids.
but I never fixed it for my grandkids. Had never. And they came in at Thanksgiving, and I didn't have anything to fix them for breakfast hardly. And so I said, how about cinnamon toast? And I fixed it, and I mean, they cleaned it up.
Oh my!
So they
I
never
still
had
like it.
Yeah, I do too, but I don't eat it because it's too
Yeah.
fattening.
Oh well, I just don't take the time.
So then you would get up and eat breakfast, and then you had to wash the dishes, you and Margie.
Get ready to go to school.
So you would get ready when you got up, and then you eat breakfast, and then wash dishes. And then, did you have to pack your own lunch or somebody else?
You know, I don't remember, but I imagine Mom did.
And you took it in a tin bucket?
Large bucket.
Yep. And then you would walk to school. What if it was raining?
We still went.
You just walked in the rain.
Yeah. Daddy never offered to take me.
You didn't have an umbrella or
He
anything?
didn't know what one was. He probably didn't have the gas to take us.
Well, yeah, that would add up.
Yeah. And once in a while, he had been somewhere and he'd come along and pick us up after school. And that was a treat because we never got to ride. And
And what did he pick you up in?
he had no Model A.
A car.
Yeah. But Uncle Jess lived up here on the hill too, his family. They
Past your turnoff, right?
up there where Daddy built that new house.
Oh, yeah, okay.
A big two-story house, but the upstairs wasn't finished. But,
Are you talking about the house that's there now? No, this is the house before that one.
yeah, no, two-story,
Yeah,
great
no,
big old
two-story.
house. Uncle Jess and Aunt Hazel lived there, and they had 4 kids. That's how come Grandpa built the Grandpa house for him and Grandma. But they had a girl named Alice Bell. She was named after Grandma too.
Grandma Isabel.
Yeah. And then the Kaylors lived farther down than the McCoys did. They probably lived 2 miles farther down.
Wow.
And they had a girl named Eula Faye, the oldest girl. And we all walked that road. Well, Alice Bell and Eula Faye would get in a fight. And they was about Lillian's size. And they'd just fight like cats and dogs. And Eula Faye, she couldn't talk very plain. And she'd say, "We're fighting like cats and dogs." No. She didn't say that. She said, "We're fighting like Baby Root." She couldn't talk
Baby Root.
Baby Roosters. We're fighting like Baby Roots. And we would laugh at her. We're fighting like Baby Roots.
Leo Dowden did a story about how fighting was a part of school. Kids fought.
Yeah.
They don't do that now, really, but
Well, and it wasn't they still fighting at home. They just liked to fight, just like Nadine fighting me.
yeah.
That's the only pleasure they had.
But you all didn't fight at home among you kids,
No.
but maybe they did at their house,
Well, I doubt it. But I can remember seeing Eula Faye and Alice Bell. And one time, I chased that Alice Bell all the way home. 'cause I thought she had my grandma's handkerchief, and I was jealous, and I was going to take it away from her.
So how did she get it?
Well, Grandma lived in a little house,
Oh,
the grandpa house, and they lived in the big two-story house.
oh, I see.
So I thought she had got Grandma's handkerchief.
So you thought she had one from your grandma and you wanted to get it.
Yeah, I was jealous.
Yeah,
'cause
you just wanted
she
it.
had to.
You were going to steal it.
I chased her all the way home. I guess I never did get it.
You know, when we lived in Manus, there was an old woman, I don't remember much at all about her, but she sold hankies that she crocheted around the edge.
Oh,
And I think I bought one from you for Christmas or something, but I thought they were pretty, but I also bought it because I thought she needed the money, but
yeah.
I don't remember
I'm
anything.
surprised I don't still have it. Because I never threw anything away.
But that's all I remember. I don't remember what she looked
Now,
like.
didn't the Calvins live kind of catty-cornered across the street from us? Their last name was Calvin.
Oh, yeah. I barely remember them. I remember the dad. Nice looking.
And I think
young
they
man.
had one kid. One
Boy,
boy.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I mean, you brought up an image, but I don't remember him at all. So what was your favorite meal at home?
Oh, shoot. Probably gravy.
Did y'all have mashed potatoes and gravy
Mashed potatoes
and meat?
cornbread
And some sort of meat? What kind of meat did you
Yeah.
usually have? Do you know?
probably pork. They never butchered a cow, but we had plenty of pork.
And where did you raise the pigs at?
I don't even remember where he
Do you
had.
remember having pigs?
Yeah, I remember having pigs. But down there in that holler, I don't remember where he kept the pigs.
Huh.
And the time Mom, she always raised turkeys so she could buy her juice in the fall. And them turkeys ran off, and I guess they got in the wild. Never did come back.
So she would buy the turkeys to raise them to sell so that she could buy school shoes for you.
Yeah, she would hatch them out.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and raise them. She'd have probably 20 or 30. And they just left and never did come back. That one year, that
Yeah.
just happened one year.
Did she pretty much do that every year?
Yeah.
I've been amazed at the things that they did do, Grandma and Grandpa, to make a living.
Yeah. And they always, she sold cream from the cat milk. And they did a lot of things so they could make extra money.
And you were telling me that Grandpa raised a field of tomatoes with Oracle Todd.
Yeah.
So that they could sell them to some store or company, a factory,
Factory.
and so they can make extra money.
Yeah. And then we made molasses, and they sold a gallon buckets full of molasses. They had a mill there where Tom Lodge used to live, right there going to past Dorothy Gaddis' store. They had a molasses mill. It was Daddy's. And they planted this sorghum cane. And us kids had to cut it and haul it in, and Daddy and Oracle made the sorghum.
Now you said Grandpa had the sorghum meal. Did
Yeah.
other people bring their stuff there?
No, it's just him and Oracle.
Just for him and Oral. Did they only do that one year?
That's all I ever remember.
So it must not have been a great
But
business to have.
you could keep them molasses forever.
Yeah.
And I remember us, me and that Lanny Todd getting in the pickup and going and getting a load of sorghum. But I think the machine at one time belonged to my grandpa.
Oh.
Sorghum Daddy to have it.
And then did they raise the sorghum up by Orville's place?
No, it was up there by that house, Tom Todd's house. It's
Tom-
back
was
there
Tom-
in the
It
field.
wasn't there by the mill, are you saying?
It's back in the field.
But it was in that area.
Yeah, the same farm.
And didn't they raise something over at Orville's place?
Corn. We
Oh,
raised corn up there and we'd go up there and hold the wheat
And so all
out.
you kids would work together, Orville's
Oh, yeah.
kids and your all's family, and all the kids would work on both these projects that
Yeah,
Orville and your dad came up with.
yeah. Yeah. And behind Gladys and Orville's house was a big orchard, just big old apples. And they'd give Mom apples, and we'd go up there and help Gladys can apples.
And then you were mentioning that Grandpa would go off at certain times of the year to go pick fruit in other states.
Yeah, out in Washington.
And so those were like, what months would he go? Like, would it be in the fall?
Yeah, it'd have to be in the fall. But, yeah, me and Buster got talking about that the other day, and he didn't come back when Daddy and Paris and Phil came back.
And so sometimes Grandpa would go by himself, but then later he started taking the boys with him.
Yeah. And he got talking about Earl Franklin, Uncle Sampson's boy, Mom's brother's boy. Said he got him and Earl got to where they did a lot together. See, I didn't know that. I hadn't seen Earl Franklin since he was just a young boy. And I think me and him's probably the same age. But Buster stayed out there, and he said when they got ready to, Daddy and Paris and Phil got ready to start back, he'd give them all the money he had. He only had $5. But he didn't, he stayed out there, and I guess he worked with Uncle Sampson's family. Well, he talked.
But then you said that Buster found out that Grandpa was in the hospital.
Yes, and he started to hitchhiking, trying to get to where he's at. And at one time, he had went right by the hospital for Daddy was there, didn't know he's there. Somehow, somebody left Aunt Lucy know that Daddy was in the hospital, and she told me.
And what was he in the hospital for?
Probably for the cancer. He had cancer.
Lung cancer?
Lung cancer. But Mom was on to him all the time for that smoking. And he smoked velvet in the
In
can.
the velvet.
And he'd hide it down in the barn. And those kids would find it. But he'd do that to keep her griping at him.
Yeah. And he smoked it in, did he roll cigarettes?
He rolled his own. Yeah. You know, that don't make sense. I just don't know why somebody do something like that when they know it's killing them.
I don't think they had as much education back then.
But look at Phil. One don't go out till he's lighting another one, and that don't make good sense.
You know, doctors used to recommend people smoke to calm their nerves
Really?
because they didn't know the health hazard.
Oh.
So people just didn't know. We have all the information we would want about anything right now, but they just didn't have it back then.
My dad didn't smoke that much, and I never saw him smoke a cigarette in the house. He was always outside. He didn't smoke that much, but he had lung cancer.
So, what did you finished grade school, and then did you go to high school?
Went to to high school for a while.
Less
then
than a year?
I know I went 1 year.
Okay, and then you started again?
The other one. But, and I stayed over there at the Hill House that had a store, grocery store.
Where's that at?
They're in competition.
Okay.
And they had a house not far down the road, but they had upstairs. They lived up there, I guess so they'd be close to work. And they let me stay there with them. And I lived up over
And
there.
where was the school?
The school was there in competition
Okay,
too.
so for you to not have to travel, you just stayed with them?
And I could just walk, and I helped her too. Helped her with the house and the store. And she had a boy that's about my age. I never thought anything about it. I had brothers. But Robert, he had a friend to spend the night with him. And I just walked in their room. It didn't bother me to see them in their bed. And Robert thought that was awful that I came in their room.
Oh.
But I was used to my brothers. I didn't think anything
You
about
probably had to go through your brother's room to get out of your room or something, didn't you?
Yeah, and I didn't think anything.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything. But yeah, I stayed there with them.
And why did you quit school?
I think that's when we went to Lebanon to work. Me and Cleo. We worked at that bus stop.
Now, she was working there before you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But you decided that you were going to go ahead and quit school and go up there and go to work.
And we got us a little apartment. It was just a sleeping apartment.
Yeah.
And I guess we walked to work. I don't even remember going to work.
Do you remember working there?
Yeah, yeah.
And what did you do there?
Just wait like at the counter, sodas and ice cream, and dude just lived across the street from the bus.
Is that how
station.
you met him?
Yeah, and he would come over there and stay till I got up work. Yeah.
What did his family do?
His dad owned a shoe store there in Lebanon. And his mom didn't do anything. She was so hateful. She always thought dude was too good for me. But I just cared less for her too. I never did care. But she went to California with me. We rode the same bus.
So, you became pregnant and you got married in Missouri?
California.
You got on the bus and went out.
Yeah.
Were you pregnant before you went out to California?
Yeah.
And so then you went out to California and his mother rode with you. Was that a pleasant trip?
No.
And then
We probably didn't say two birds off the way.
and then you get there and you and dude get married.
And she cried when we got married.
And did she then come back home?
Yeah.
So she just went out to see the wedding and then come home. And then you stayed in California for how long?
I didn't seem like I stayed that long. But there was two other couples out there from Lebanon. And me and one of the girls, we got to be real good friends. And she worked like on a snack bar. And I'd go down there through the day and stay with her. And dude, he liked to shoot dice. And there's another guy out there. He was the older guy, and he was really good to me. He thought I had something to eat, and he's really good to me, but I don't even know his name.
Did y'all live in a bad place?
No, we had lived in an apartment,
Huh?
and the other two couples lived there too. Well,
What did dude do to make a living?
He worked at the shipyard,
Oh,
and that's where these other two guys worked. That's why they was out there.
they went out for that job.
for the shipyard.
And so what happened between you and Dude?
Well, he wanted me to come back home before I got any farther along, so it wouldn't be hard on me. He just did that to get rid of me.
Yeah. He wanted to be a free single
Yeah,
man.
and he was, next thing I knew, he'd sued for divorce.
Yeah.
But his mom and dad would come and bring Judy shoes, because he had that shoe store.
Yeah.
And brought her a high chair. They was really good to her.
Until what age?
Must not lasted very long, because I don't remember after she was a baby. But he came, she must have been 2 or 3, and he came trying to get me to go back to him. And my cousin told me, don't go back to him, because he's got some other girl pregnant, and he
Oh.
just wants you to go back to him for that. So
Yeah.
I didn't go back.
Well, it's good somebody told you.
Yeah,
And so, so you all lived with Grandma and Grandpa
Yeah.
for how long?
till I married Lee.
And Judy was probably about 6.
Yeah,
And where did you meet Lee?
I went to school with him.
Went to grade school.
Yeah, he was a year ahead of me.
But then he went away to service. So how did you see
Yeah.
him again?
Oh, he had cows. Daddy had rented some pasture to him through
Oh.
the winter, because he had a hay in that big barn. And he had cows in there, and he'd come over there to feed them cows. And me and Judy was staying up in the grandpa house, because we'd been exposed to the measles,
Oh,
and we didn't want Mom to get them, so they had us staying up in that grandpa house, so Mom wouldn't get the measles. We never did take them.
oh,
But he come up there and feed me, and Judy or me and Cleo to watch him out the window. And we'd pick on the window, whistle and everything. But I don't know how I got started dating him. I don't remember our first date or.
well, if you're pecking on the window and whistling at him, maybe you got his attention.
Well, and he would have had to come up there in the summertime too, because I know he wouldn't have a shirt on,
And you all were probably outside.
and he had a real good suntan. And I don't know, I just can't remember a lot.
Now, is that before he went to service or
It's after he went to start.
after he went to service?
Yeah.
And so he was out of the service before you all got married.
Oh, yeah. And then when you was born, when Pat was born, he had to go back in the service. And I was so upset. And so they let him stay till you was born. As soon as you was born, he had to leave.
But he came right back.
Because I kept writing and telling him I needed him on the farm and needed help, and they let him out.
Why did he have to go back when he had already served so many years?
I don't know why they called him back. He had to go to California. But I had Parrish there helping me. I really didn't need any help, but I just wanted him back.
Yeah. So he came back, and then did he stay at the farm, or did he start working in Kansas City?
He didn't work in Kansas City till right there at the last.
So he was actually living on the farm when we were growing up,
Oh, yeah.
because I don't remember seeing him very much.
Yeah. He would go off and stay 2 or 3 or 4 days at a time. And I knew he was drinking.
Yeah.
or he'd go be gone all day and come in away in the night. So, no, I don't seem like he was ever at home.
So he
When he was drunk.
so when he lived on the farm, the only income he had was from farming.
Yeah, in the cows.
I don't know how he drank, you know.
No, he always had money.
Yeah. But you didn't.
Yeah, but I could go get one of your pair of shoes and he'd just throw up fit. Because I bought you the pair of shoes.
And so the money he had was selling his livestock.
Yeah,
Pigs, cows,
yeah,
whatever you had.
yeah.
And then when did he start working in Kansas City?
Well, I was thinking it wasn't too long before I left down there. Maybe 3 or 4 years.
And why did he start doing that?
Just for income, I guess. He did right well up there.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd butcher a cow or two and dress the meat, have it processed, and take it to Kansas City and sell it.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't even get one mess of it.
Yeah, I don't remember ever eating beef down on the farm. I don't
It's
remember eating
always
pork.
deer meat.
There's always deer meat or
Yeah.
rabbit or
Yeah.
squirrel.
But and that I couldn't understand that. I was so stupid anyway that he would take all of that meat and sell it, and we didn't even get a hamburger.
Well, it was because of the money. He could make money off the
Yeah.
the
And
livestock,
if we eat it, he
and the
wouldn't
deer
get-
meat was free.
Yeah, yeah. And I can remember Judy. She wasn't very old, you know, and her trying to eat that old tough deer meat. I can still see her trying to eat that.
Did was he abusive to Judy?
He was mean to Judy. Like he was jealous of her, but she was faithful to him.
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can
They
remember.
just didn't get along.
yeah.
But she's a child. He should have did better.
Hmm. I don't think he knew anything about kids because I don't remember much about him myself.
Well, Goldie, him and Nadine. Goldie just spoiled her rotten. That's why Nadine was away. I think that's why she couldn't talk. Goldie just petted her.
Hmm.
And she never done a day's work in her life.
She never worked after she got married.
No.
Her husband did all the cooking
He
and
did,
cleaning and
yeah.
the day job and everything.
Took care of those kids. Yeah, he was a good guy. And how he married her, I don't ever know.
It is strange.
But he
Because he
stayed.
was nice looking and
Yes,
pleasant.
a very good guy. Didn't drink, just as good as he could be. But he come over there and stayed some before they got married. He was staying there some. And I guess he loved her, I don't know. Jonesy. She called him Jonesy. She probably couldn't say Glenn.
So they had Judy Glenn and Lonnie and Kelly and Curtis. Was there another one?
Kelly, did you say?
Edwin.
Edwin, yeah.
Edwin was the baby. Edwin
Yeah.
is the one that was kind of slow.
Yeah.
Right?
You wonder about those people, where they're at, those kids. Now,
Well, most of them have died, I
I
think.
think Kelly and Andy, Edwin, I think are both dead.
Well, I think Lonnie was too, yeah.
Oh, Lonnie too.
Yeah. So, when Lee was still down on the farm, you probably didn't have to do quite as much farm work, right?
I still had to milk. And one time, I guess it's while he's in Kansas City, he bought a bunch of, you might remember, those big old steers he brought.
The Longhorn, Texas.
Yes.
Mhm.
and he had them down the bottom.
Mhm.
I'd have to go down there and feed them.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them got sick. And he said I fed them too much. I foundered them.
They were laying with their backs downhill and bloating and dying, right?
I don't know what that's doing, but he said I foundered them. Well, he should have been there to take care of himself.
Mm-hmm.
But them things was scary looking.
Well, they were also used to a different type of foliage and stuff to eat.
Yeah.
And probably the bottom land was probably pretty rich stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if that had anything to do with it.
Well, I didn't feed them any more than I was supposed to. But land chest fed, I had to work in the fields, and I'd go to that bottom and gather a whole carload or a pickup load of corn and bring it to the house.
I can
and
remember
can it.
picking corn,
Yeah.
and I have no desire to go to the Shy Rocks corn maze because I don't want to ever be in another cornfield.
See that corn?
I mean, I can remember when it's so hot and that corn has that dust on it, and all the leaves and everything are really sharp, and they cut your hands, and you
Yeah.
have to break all those ears off, and they're just like this dust and stuff, and it's hot, and there's no breeze because you're in the cornfield.
Yeah.
I just don't
I
have
can't
no interest in it.
even remember taking you kids, but what I had to for you to remember it.
Mhm.
I'd go down there and gather that and can
I don't know that I went very many times. And then I can remember the longhorn cattle because I knew that if we got off the wagon, we had to not get very far, or we had to watch because we had to run if the cows got after us. 'Cause
Yeah.
they were mean.
Yeah, they was scared. I was even afraid of them.
Well,
And
they,
then
I mean, they
always-
could just turn their head and knock you with that horn, you know?
Oh, yeah, they could run a horn through you.
Yeah, but really bad.
Well, did I tell you about Connie's boy getting her landed just here
Yeah,
lately?
what was he got? How did he get hurt?
He's trying to help Gene get up some gas.
Oh, and one of them,
Jumped the four-wheeler and
Mhm.
broke his arm.
so
But
you,
I'm afraid to tell anything because Bev, I was talking to her and she said, well, you've already told me that, or you getting senile. And I'm getting more afraid to say anything.
oh, people do it all the time. So you, how many times did you try to leave Lee?
Oh, I left him so many times bad. And he'd come down, I'd have to go to Mom and Dad's. And he'd come down there and beg me to come back. He'd say he'd even be a preacher if I'd come back. Well, I knew that was a lie. And I'd go back, but then I got to where I thought, I can keep taking all them kids down to Mom and Dad's because I think Mom and Dad even moved away. But anyway, I just went to Lebanon and got me a little house, rented me a little house.
What'd
Well,
you get for money?
While he's in Kansas City, we moved. I don't know what I did for money. I guess I really didn't care, unless I just wrote a check on him. But I determined that was it.
Was that the time you left and didn't go back?
Yeah.
When you moved to Lebanon?
Yeah.
And then from Lebanon, is that the White House we lived in?
Yeah,
And then from there we moved to Columbia?
to maintenance.
To Manus.
Yeah, and then from there to Columbia.
Did we just stay in Lebanon during the summer? And then
Yeah,
go back
yeah.
to Manus for school?
For school. Yeah, yeah.
And when did you buy that old black car? When we was in Lebanon?
Yeah, I think Paul was still in Lebanon. Phil helped me get it.
How much you pay for it?
I don't know, but that thing.
$50.
50.
I remember.
Really? I wouldn't be caught dead in that thing now.
I thought it was cool.
But at least it got us where it's going.
Yeah, we had room.
Yeah,
And then you bought that, was it a Pontiac?
Yeah,
The teal
blue.
colored.
yeah,
It was really pretty.
it was beautiful. Impala.
And how'd you get the money to buy that?
I have no idea.
So you went to Manus, and we stayed there, and then your brothers convinced you to go to Columbia?
Yeah. Bill and Marilyn come down there every weekend
Oh my goodness.
and watch wrestling
Yep.
with us. And they bring us stuff to eat. Oh, we loved it. We had something to look forward to.
I looked forward to that. All of us sitting and watching that wrestling. And we would get a big carton of the 8 tall Pepsis. And we would divide those up and we would all get some Pepsi. That was like the highlight.
Yeah.
And then I had a kind of a really light blue shirt that opened at the neck, maybe a zipper. And I embroidered all the wrestlers' names on my shirt.
Oh, don't you wish you had that now?
No, it was ugly, I'm sure.
Oh, my goodness.
But I was really into the wrestling.
And I had a phone there.
Do you remember a wrestler named, was it Bolo?
I don't know.
And he had a ski mask with the eyes and
I remember the ski mask.
I think it was Bolo. And there was a Pat Clancy, I think his name was. He was really nice, clean cut. Yeah, I was really into it. But it was that Pepsi that I loved.
But wasn't that neat of them driving all that way down there?
You know, that was such a horrendous trip to drive. Yes. Yeah, it
Just
was.
for the weekend.
Yeah. That was super.
Well, it must have meant a lot to them
Mhm.
for them to do that.
Yeah.
And I loved that house.
Yeah, I did too. I really
So,
liked
and
it.
we always had groceries and I had a phone.
I remember one time that Judy had the room that was, I guess it would have been the northeast room. That was her bedroom. And you had to go through my bedroom to get to her bedroom. You had to, you know, that's the way the old houses used to be. You went through one bedroom to get to another. And I went in her room and I got a little bit of money out of her purse, like a quarter or something. I don't know, it wasn't very much, but it was just a little bit. But I went up to the store and I got me some candy. And then she went to school the next day and she didn't have enough money for lunch.
Oh,
And you told me about it and I was so sorry.
oh.
I mean, I didn't even think past, I take
You
a little
just
bit and
want
go
some
get,
candy.
I just take a little bit and go get me some candy. Never thought about
I
what it
don't
would do
even
to her.
remember that.
Oh my gosh, it was so sad to me. I mean, I still think of it, how sad it was.
Oh.
But
Well, that one just wasn't too much.
yeah, but I mean, I know how it was to go to school, and then if you don't have money for lunch, and everybody's
Yeah.
looking at you like you don't have money for lunch. And the thing is, you probably just don't eat.
Yeah.
You just don't eat. You try to cover it up and hide it, and I felt really bad about it.
But you know, I paid my phone bill and my rent was only $30.
Yeah.
I paid that.
And I think you got really behind in the rent.
Seemed
they
like I
said-
did too.
And they said it was okay as long as you just lived there and took care of the place. Because they like the way you take care of it.
Well,
And I think it was their home place or
yeah,
something.
it was.
And they just liked that you took care of it.
Yeah, they was Prox.
Yeah, I don't know who.
Junior Prox, and he is off in some other state.
Yeah, they didn't live around there. We never saw him.
Yeah,
But we just took good care of it, and they really liked that we took care of it.
yeah. And he probably remembered me.
And see, I just remember things like that.
You can remember stuff that I can't.
But it was something that was important to me.
Yeah.
It wasn't, you know, you remember all the other stuff. I just remember some of the stuff that was important to me. And so when you came to Columbia, what kind of jobs did you have?
Well, I didn't work for a long time, but that Marilyn and her mom just kept on wanting me to get me a job. So I got a job at the med
Well, you
center.
almost had to because you didn't have any money, right?
Well, I think if I got something from the state,
Oh.
I would have had to.
Mhm.
Because Lee didn't give me any money.
Yeah.
I'd take
Did Lee ever give you any
No.
money? Nothing.
I had to take him to court to get child support, and he's supposed to pay $130 some. Never did pay me. And I even had to take off work and go to court.
They didn't enforce it back then.
No.
And then when you tried to get the farm, he put it in Wallace's name.
Yeah.
His brother Wallace's name.
Yeah. So he paid for it in the long run. He suffered enough.
Who's that?
Lee.
Lee?